Hey everyone, it's just been slow going trying to get more content on here, but my birthday is actually in a few days, so I'm taking this time out to just talk about my favorite film of all time. That is hard enough for like a film lover like me to try to figure out. And if I had to go with the popular, like for a movie that everybody knows, my personal favorite and my popular favorite would be Back to the Future, and I'm one of those that counts all three movies as one whole movie, just because it's that well written that it works that way. But I will stop and talk about my personal favorite film of all time, The Station Agent. Real quick, I'll talk about the story. Uh, Peter Dinklage plays Finn, who is a model repairman who ends up losing his job and gaining a station depot, a train depot, from his friend who has passed away. And he is like a very isolated guy who would like nothing better than for the world to leave him be. So the idea of like being isolated in this small little town in New Jersey just like thrills him to no end. Until when he finally gets there, and not only does he find himself not alone, he actually finds new friends with Joe, who is running the food truck that his father owns while his father's sick. And he also, oh, excuse me, he also meets Lydia, who is another person that's like dealing with a lot of tragedy in her life. And somehow these three really work together, and Finn learns to like open up a little bit and find comfort in these new friends. Uh, Now, why do I like this particular movie? One, I love the performances. I love all of these actors that were used in this movie, and it's a small cast, but especially the three main actors. This really did put Peter Dinklage out there, where like now everybody knew his name. And I had never read any of the Game of Thrones books, but when I had heard about Game of Thrones and it was going to have Peter Dinklage in it, I just said, okay, obviously that's going to be great because Peter Dinklage is great. He was great as Tyrion, and he is great as Finn. I love this particular character, really because I think this character was me in high school. I didn't wear a suit and I wasn't a dwarf, but I was like the fat kid who was like constantly bullied in like middle school. And weirdly enough, around high school it stopped. But this was kind of the guy that was left behind, the quiet, kind of angry guy that just pretty much just leave me alone. I want to be left alone, and that is. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I just drank like a whole bit of Coke right there, so I had to. Let me hold on a minute and calm down a bit. Because, I love to talk about this movie. Peter Dinklage is great as Finn. He does such a great job. He is really a brooding kind of character, but that is definitely what this role required for. And I thought he did like a perfect job in really like finding. He's almost like a more low key Mo from the Three Stooges. Not a lot of physical comedy, but just kind of has that look to him. I'm actually sad that like all three of these performances didn't win Oscars. Patricia Clarkson, who plays Olivia, did get nominated. Unfortunately, Peter Dinklage and Bobby Carnell did not. And Bobby Carnell, who plays Joe, is just an entertaining guy. He's one of those like people that cannot stop talking, but you grow to love him as like Finn starts to like grow to love him as well, as like they do come play off each other very well as almost complete opposites. Really more because of personality, because Joe never like issues that Finn is a dwarf, except for like some things when they do become like a little closer and stuff like that. Patricia Clarkson as Olivia is very sweet, and you can tell like from the very beginning of the movie she is out of it. And whether it's drugs, whether it's just like she can't deal with life in general, she does feel a lot like she is a person that's pretty much daydreaming, dream walking, or however you want to call it. And the moments where she snaps are like especially potent because you kind of feel that is under the surface when you start knowing more about her. One particular outburst, I really can't watch because it just like it hurts to watch. It hurt to watch it the first time, and after the first two times I watched it, I really stopped. I skipped over that part of the DVD when I future watch it because I just can't take it. It's such a. Some people say like it's not that big of an argument, but it does reach like a rough edge, and I kind of love that whole atmosphere of this movie. It's very friendly. It's very atmospheric. I love the landscapes and the train scenes. And I thought the little girl who plays oh, what is her name? Cleo. I love her. She's like a very interesting character, and not your typical kid actor, which I kind of liked. She acted like a kid, how a kid would act around like a small person. I thought, okay, that's very interesting. I almost want to say this whole movie has kind of like a grown-ups Charlie Brown kind of feel. It feels like if you took the kids from Peanuts and like grew them up and saw them as adults, it would kind of feel like this movie. Not really threatening, but like the only ordeals is internal. Everyone is like kind of damaged in their own way, and they do become like a little family by the end of the movie. Especially love the music by Stephen Trask. This really feels like a separate character all in the movie. Almost like a little narrator that's just like driving the emotion on like everything, where it's funny, it's very funny, and where it's dramatic, it's beautifully dramatic without being like overblown. It almost rates, almost like Thomas Newman, where like it's understated, but it completely leaves you emotionally where you need to be, funny, sad, or whatever. And I have no other words than I love this movie. This is just like one of my favorite movies. Finn is very much like I was in high school. Joe, I want to say I'm a mix between Finn and Joe now, because I'm a lot more talkative than I ever was like maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I am definitely like I'm definitely like in an in-between place where like I will go and interact with people, but I also stay intertwined, even in like a party with people. Even in a party with people that I know. If it's like one or two people, I'll genuinely casually have a conversation, and then when there's like 9 or 10 people in the room, I just kind of like shut down, and that's just how I am. And I felt that character said a lot of that part of me that's still around, still it's a part of me. I don't want to quote like a bad Star Trek movie, but like I do need my pain at certain points in my life, whether it's art or whether it's just in dealing with life in general. But Station Agent is just my favorite film of all time, and it is definitely one that people noticed when it came out. It just didn't get like a lot of the awards that a lot of praised movies were getting at the time, and I really feel that it should be rewatched as often as possible, just because I love that whole idea. And what the heck is that? I don't know what it is. Okay. Well, there you have it, my personal favorite movie. And I thank you for your time, and hopefully we will get more videos in the coming month. I do have ideas that I want to try out, so check you next time, everyone.